right? We can do, like if I go to China, I can get a product done in 30 days, and if they need something changed, we can do it in pretty much a day. You don't have the capability in Sri Lanka enough to get that. And if you look at all the trade pacts and stuff, Sri Lanka is nowhere, right? We haven't signed ASEAN, we haven't signed into TPP. So without trade pacts, we can't get into the US. And every consumer electronic company, when we first launch a product, I've been in 4 startups. The biggest market is US. If you look at every consumer electronic, 50% of their revenue comes from US sales. And if we don't penetrate that market and get the TPP part or be part of that trade pact, we won't be there. And second, if you really look at saying, hey, how do we grow the electronic part of it? Don't look at India, look at Tamil Nadu. 2021 is when Stalin took over as chief minister. He has started up Tamil Nadu sector that he has started. They want to be $1 trillion by 2030. And if we just piggyback into their part of it, we'll be far better rather than reaching anywhere else, because it's again 1.4 billion people, and as well as the growing of Tamil Nadu alone, if we just get into that, it would be fantastic. The current government has been talking about an industrial plant in Trincoe. I don't know what that means, right? What industrial plant has not been disclosed or nothing but talk to Modi. But Modi is not caring about Sri Lanka. But Tamil Nadu has a vested interest. How do we tap into that? Right? So for me, it's like without being into that policy part, without again, I'm following a great presentation by Jayappa, and to be honest, it was eye-opening. Because all the stuff that I've been talking about is policies, and every government coming changes. India started making 10-year, 15-year policy from the 70s. We never did that. And still we are, right? What I saw that AC stuff is just talk. We are not walking the talk. Tamil Nadu is walking the talk now from 20. I want to look at the economy from 2022. They're walking the talk. We will keep on putting papers. 5 years down the road, we'll talk the same thing. Right? If we don't make that change, if we don't go up stuff, we'll be just a blip, right? We'll just keep on dreaming. But it's unfortunate because we have so much capability to offer. So again, policy is one. Second is again, how do we penetrate into the US market? Being on the value chain is not about competing with China and stuff to make an Apple iPhone, but how do I piggyback into some technology that I can deliver to India, China, Malaysia? Like why is Vietnam getting that much of investment? It's because they're close to China. The cost, like every investor comes in, looks at it saying, can I get to the price of China? Can I get the same quality as China? And we have to still get the raw material for China, unfortunately. Right? We don't produce all those raw materials, but if you're going to be in the value chain, how are we going to reduce the cost? Right? None of these corporations are coming here in order to make Sri Lanka better. They want to make their pockets better. So how are we going to be part of that? And that single stop, right? Again, Mr. Yapa talked about it, saying, hey, we are going to put a single stop. Andhra Pradesh in India had put that from the 80s in order to have a single stop, because they saw the bureaucracy was killing their state. And we are a small country, like Tamil Nadu alone, like what, 80 billion, and we are 22 million. And you're like, we don't have nobody will come here in order to request for Sri Lankan part. It's all to export, or to build that efficiency, or no red tape. And here is way more red tape. The building I put in Trincoe took almost 9 months to get CEB connection. So when you said 10 years for government stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, right, I'm not bad.
But that's maybe the small power connection.
Totally agree, but I was like thinking about it. The government stuff they started in 10 years, they had to wait. Whereas mine took 9 months. It's okay. And with that, I'll just open for questions. I just came on Mr. Ajit's invitation, and while I landed yesterday, he sent me a note saying, oh, you're presenting too. So yesterday morning, like, what am I presenting? So I had to just, think about being more, what can I answer for you? Because again, I've had the front row seat of 2 major billion-dollar companies, what we call unicorns in my lifetime. And I was lucky to be part of that journey. And have led supply chains where I work with Flextronics, Jabil, Foxconn, Pegatron, Luxshare, all these $130 billion companies of Flex Jabil, Wistron, $30 billion. I work with all, right? And I've gone through their factories in almost every part of the world. So anything I could help, I can do.
Yeah, I think I just need not a question but comment. I fully endorse what you said, Roshan. We have something in common. I also did my MBA at CJ, and I used a BlackBerry. Probably you were selling it at that time or producing it at that time. I thought that is the thing. Then iPhone came, my own solution. So I think that's exactly the way that we have to look at. Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, I have not met Chief Minister Stalin, but I met the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister maybe 3-4 times, and I do 3-4 times. We're having a lot of discussion how we can, and they're more than happy to help. So, I mean, there is opportunity, and there is export potential. It has to be that oriented. Like I said, the legal framework is there, institutional framework is created, but you need to put the people into that who can do the work and get the walk in the right direction, and then things will start moving.
You're right.
And you made a very valid point. Spoke about IP. One success for me in shipbuilding was, particularly building to India and other countries, was designs. You have cheap designs. Chinese are very cheap. So they asked, can you compete with Chinese? I said no. China is not a country that I can compete. It's a Chinese price. But I can give you a European design much lower than Japan. So why did the European design come to me? Because of IP. The confidence that they had on us is that they will share without no key or no pay basis a design with me on the initial period to quote and do all the work without any payment, because they know we will not cheat. They will not give it to China. They will not give it to India, but they will share it with us. That's the advantage. So you have to find that little thing, and then that makes the difference.
No, it's again, you talk about corruption too. In early 2000, when Microsoft was looking for a place in India to start investing, the first state they came to Tamil Nadu. And the conversation with the Tamil Nadu government at that time was with Jayalalitha was, what is my cut? They were going on for a week on negotiation, and the guy who called Gates and said, hey, this is not going anywhere. Chandrababu Naidu knew about that was happening to Seattle, talked to him and said, I don't want any bribes, I just want you to come to the state. Microsoft came, Dell came, HP came, Apple has a campus there. That's the biggest tech hub because of that guy thinking strategically of what is needed for the state. After that, he made a lot of money through other means, but not through corruption. He brought economy into the state, right? So there's other ways to bring the country up without getting free money.
Roshan, Mandal actually just mentioned that okay, it is the act, but it's up to all people to actually implement it. So you have been actually with the, you have been familiar with what India is doing, India's policy consistency is there. Like then, we are neighboring countries. Pretty much share a lot of things. So what make Indians actually have this policy consistency while we are actually changing every 2 years, every 3 years, every year? What might actually take us to implement this act to the result we are now?
So in India, the policy part of it, though the government plays a role, the policy is driven by the government agencies that drive it, right? So you can have a different prime minister, different chief minister. What the policy was put in, the next government doesn't come and say, hey, your building is flyover, that's done. We are doing something different, right? The policy is set in stone for 30 years down. Every 5 years they take a look at it saying, hey, we need to change, right? So they can only tweak what the 30-year orders. They can't change.
Maybe a question to Mandal. Is the ETA is also something similar?
Yes.
But this is only 5 years.
No. The ETA plan is till 2048.
48.
So that's long one.
So this is the first time Sri Lanka has made
Sri
a
Lanka
policy.
is- No, we did. We had 5-year plans, 10-year plans, like that, various things in the past, but never worked. I think India's planning commission was one reason why the planning, but now it is abandoned. Now you have
It's changed names, but
it's changed. It's a different setup, but that drives, and of course, all ministries, public officials are permanent secretaries. Here in Sri Lanka, unfortunately, in our constitution, every government changes the bureau. So that is where things are moving outside the public domain to commissions like this, so that you set up the policy and bring it as a national policy through the parliament, and then make it binding. Because for 5-year period, that particular secretary will work to the whims and fancies of the minister. So he is looking at his next position or whatever it is. He is not going to antagonize the minister. So that has happened many times. But predominantly private sector led, if the right people are selected, that kind of institution is not looking at that kind of personal benefit. They will do what is necessary to drive it. But of course, again, the chambers, associations and others also have to support that kind of movement, because it is a big shift. And I know I met Chandrababu Naidu, and I've spoken to him personally once. In fact, on the request of the current I flew up to him and had long-term discussion, because he was again pushing for a separate zone, and he says, my interest is not zone. Let's discuss real business, how we are going to do. So I had to come and convey the same message, and this is what he's asking for. But then the government collapsed. So again, we went through cycle. Again, we restart again. So now again we are discussing. So similar thing. So I hope at least now there will be some stability. And India also has a change. That was, I think, when former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was the Minister of Finance. That is the time that India went through this kind of a balance of payment crisis.
He was finance minister.
Yes, he was finance minister, and that is the time I think when India started fully changing its policy.
It was Manmohan that changed that trajectory. And then even like India took 10 years ago to go digital. We were sleeping. Now we are starting to think, hey, we need to go for such a small country. People are ahead. Like India never had national identity card, all that birth certificate, nothing. Now, like everything is on the Aadhaar card, right? And it's like all digital. We are nowhere there, right? I mean, when they can do it for that many people, we should be able to. Any other question? Okay. Thanks for inviting me, Ajay.
And I think the advantage we have is, like I said, one side is India, other side is China, and then we have Pakistan. So all these countries have, if we are looking at unified, it is not working. Look, my voice is it's on. Unfortunately, that's what happens with electronic circuit, unlike mechanical. Yes, right? Now Sri Lanka, being a neutral country, can do lot of cross-border investment and trade. Chinese companies come and set up here, sell to India. We have a free trade agreement with India. We have a free trade agreement with China, being negotiated. Indian companies can come and set up this thing and export to China. So is Pakistan. If we really use our logistics and others, it makes sense. I'm talking about non-service oriented other products.
No, but again, you talked about Shenzhen before, but if you look at Suzhou Industrial Park, which is close to Shanghai, it was a field too. So they wanted to develop it, so they went to Singapore and say, hey, Singapore at that time was a major manufacturing country, 80s. Said, you come and do it here, we'll give you free land, all that stuff. Now it's a 200 or 300 acres of just industrial park. If we can go and identify 300 acres, go talk to these people that want to come and invest, come and invest over here and give all this land and go on and, from welding shop to everything side by side. That is how we can make it. Because one-off, we can't just bring one company at a time, because they need certain technology that we don't have to afford.
You need to get that anchor investor who comes and who make, like Singapore's story is Texas Instruments. So Andhra Pradesh, it was Microsoft, and Singapore, if you take Hong Kong, it is Shenzhen, it is somebody else. So we need to find that guy who is willing to come, who is Who is that first mover to take the risk? And there are enough people.
I was thinking about how we can empower our kids actually to have kind of innovative thinking, to bring up
their own design.
I mean, people, as example, maybe people thinking just to
Manufacture
manufacture
the mobile phone, but we don't think that just to manufacture maybe a case or something. How we can empower our
education system that people are really empowering to do design and do some manufacturing.
It's only the educational system alone, right? It starts at home too. That same, like over here, I don't think we allow kids. We allow kids to do whatever they want to do, right? We stay on top of controlling it. That's not how North America works, right? We give the freedom, so you do the same thing. Give the freedom to the people in order to. You have to enable them. You don't have to micromanage, but enable them in order to. Hey, what can we do in order to get there? Right? The mental block is there still that we are still followers rather than leaders. Right? We still want to be like controlling stuff. So that has to change.
Absolutely. If Steve Jobs was born in Sri Lanka, people may not have come. Say.
I would like to know, what is the attitude and skill development in people in maybe in India at the current time, 20 years back, 40 years back, how their mindset was changed. In Sri Lanka, I was thinking we need to focus on attitude development and the skill development of the people. So they will elect the correct people and they will make the good plans. So, but I have never seen anywhere we have do that. So I would like to know what was done in India.
So India started into improving the educational system first, right? In the 70s, if you look at it, how many engineering colleges came up and stuff like that, helped with respect to changing the way they started the thing. They wanted to be into the value added part, not into manufacturing. India's getting manufacturing way late. They got into IT first, right? All the software part of it, they invested heavily. So they were ahead of the curve in order for the educational system. We still, like here after you finish A level, I think still people have to wait for 12 months to get into university.
More than
Right? India doesn't have that at all. It's always on time, right? And by 22 you're educated, you're young and you want to do something. Right? So they changed that environment. So that was a big thing. We still lack. We still haven't caught up. Right? So, and we don't want to send have a partnership with India to send people there in order to get educated faster and bridge that gap. Nobody's thinking about that. Right? So that was one. Plus they had they have a lot of population, so they saw opportunity internally. A lot of kids in the 70s went to the US in order to get their masters. And they came back. They didn't stay there. They came back and invested it back in India. Right? How many Sri Lankans have come back? Not many. Right? And in this situation, nobody's coming back. Right? If you ask where's Midar, I'm probably one of those that think that there's an opportunity and I keep on coming back to Rinko. Right? So, but not lots come, but Indians, they do come back. So the brain drain goes, but back again to the mothership. So that we lack.
because you created the environment.
I think
As India or anything, so our talent pool is limited. So should we push to be a manufacturing or design or brand, something like that, like Silicon Valley or China? Where should we push our industry?
No, again, because we are limited resources and part of it, you can only focus like manufacturing, again, earlier we were talking about 35,000 people we have in order for factory. Right? Foxconn alone has around 400,000. So not even a drop into the manufacturing sector. Only thing is going to help us to improve our financial part. Right? If we want to focus on, say, 20 years down the road, it has to be to designing and developing and being part of that value chain. being a manufacturing hub for such a small country is going to be very limited. Even look at Malaysia. Malaysia doesn't have enough people internally. They are now hiring from Cambodia and even Sri Lanka in order to have the manufacturing because they don't have people. Same as with Sri Lanka.
So the correct long-term strategy might be go to design and development or become brands.
Design and development will be the ultimate part of it, but there's a path to it, right? It's not going to happen overnight, right? So at least you can start with getting educational system, getting people into that field.